This phone has been sitting in a drawer for 3 years. The manufacturer stopped sending it updates in 2022. Every app that opens it now flashes a warning about an outdated operating system. The banking app refuses to run. The only thing wrong with this phone is that a company in a boardroom somewhere decided their engineering team's attention was now allocated to the next device rather than this one. Today, I'm going to install an operating system on it that has a 10-year support commitment and see what happens. The problem this experiment is addressing is one of the defining quiet scandals of consumer technology. Most smartphones stop receiving software updates 2 to 3 years after release. Not because the hardware has worn out, not because the phone has become incapable of running modern software, because manufacturers have calculated that supporting older devices doesn't sell new ones, and that the cost of maintaining update pipelines for legacy hardware is a drag on margins they'd rather invest elsewhere. What that calculation produces, at scale, is a planet covered in physically functional phones that are simultaneously security liabilities, running operating systems with documented vulnerabilities that will never be patched, excluded from apps that set higher minimum version requirements, and treated by their owners as disposal problems, simply because the software layer that made them useful was abandoned. In 2026, the scale of this is difficult to overstate. Hundreds of millions of devices worldwide are running Android versions beyond their security patch end of life, which means the operating system underneath every app, every message, every photo, and every financial transaction on those devices has known, publicly documented vulnerabilities that nobody is going to fix. The Linux phone community's answer to this problem is postmarketOS, and it is one of the most philosophically interesting software projects currently active in the mobile space. It is not a custom version of Android. It is not Lineage OS or Graphene OS or any other variant that modifies Android while keeping Android's fundamental architecture intact. postmarketOS is based on Alpine Linux, the same minimal, security-focused Linux distribution widely deployed on servers and in containers, reshaped and adapted to run on the hardware of abandoned smartphones. The project's mission statement uses a number that sounds almost provocative in the context of an industry where 2-year update cycles are considered generous. It aims for a 10-year life cycle for smartphones. The operating system, not the manufacturer's support window, determines when a device is retired. If the project's maintainers are still supporting a piece of hardware, that hardware is still receiving patches. And on June 21st, 2026, the project shipped its largest and most polished release yet, postmarketOS 26, or 6, codenamed Alpine Avocado, shipped built on Alpine Linux 3. 24, and brought with it several changes that tell you something about where the project has arrived in 2026. The most visible change is the inclusion of GNOME 50, the latest release of the desktop environment, adapted to run on mobile screens with touch navigation. This is worth pausing on for a moment. GNOME 50, released for desktop Linux systems, running on a smartphone that was abandoned by its manufacturer years ago, receiving active development on both the phone operating system and the desktop environment it hosts. The release also switched from a custom boot splash screen to Plymouth, the standardized animated boot system used across most major Linux distributions, bringing a layer of visual polish that earlier versions of the project conspicuously lacked. A Modem Manager upgrade brought emergency cell broadcast support to Linux phones, something that had been absent and was a practical limitation for anyone considering this a genuine daily device. And sudo rs, a Rust-based reimplementation of the sudo security tool, replaced the older C version, representing an ongoing and genuinely meaningful security improvement to the base system. The 06 release supports 254 device models in its community tier, the category of devices that are actively maintained and have reliable functionality, the device list in postmarketOS 26. OS6's community tier reads like a list of phones that the tech industry has technically forgotten, but that exist in enormous quantities in drawers and secondhand markets around the world. The Google Pixel 3a and 3a XL, which Google officially abandoned, the OnePlus 6 and 6T, which are consistently highlighted by the project's community as among the best supported mainstream Android phones due to extensive mainline kernel work, the Fairphone 4, the Samsung Galaxy S9, the Xiaomi Poco F1, and the Nokia N900, which is in some ways the spiritual ancestor of the entire Linux phone movement. The full list of device models with any level of support across the project reaches 723 as of February 2026, a number that has grown every year since 2017, when only a handful of phones could display a working screen under the project's early builds. Each entry on that list represents someone in the community who cared enough about a specific piece of hardware to write and maintain the code that makes it run. For this video, the device is a OnePlus 6T, which sits at the confluence of being old enough that its manufacturer has fully moved on and well supported enough in postmarketOS's community tier that a realistic installation experience is achievable without resolving exotic hardware-level mysteries. Before touching anything on the device, the first step is backup, and the guidance from postmarketOS's own documentation on this is worth quoting directly in spirit. Do not assume that because the phone is old or seldom used, the data on it doesn't matter. Old devices frequently contain photos, messages, saved passwords and apps, and credentials stored in services that are still active. A full backup, either through Google's own backup system, a manual file transfer over USB using Android Debug Bridge, or a recovery-based clone if the device is still booting, happens before any installation begins. With backup done, the next step is the one that determines whether the installation is possible at all, and it's where most people's first attempt at something like this encounters its first real wall: unlocking the bootloader. The bootloader is the low-level software that runs before the operating system loads, verifying that what it's about to boot is code authorized by the manufacturer. On a stock device, this lock prevents anything other than official firmware from being installed. Unlocking it opens the device to alternative operating systems, but it requires the manufacturer's cooperation in the form of an OEM unlock option, which many manufacturers include, and some, particularly Samsung on US carrier variants, specifically remove. The OnePlus 6T handles this straightforwardly. In Settings, then About Phone, tapping the build number entry 7 times activates Developer Options. Inside Developer Options, the OEM unlocking toggle appears. Enabling it, and then connecting the device to a computer running fast boot mode, achieved by holding power and volume down simultaneously during a restart, allows the unlock command to be issued. The unlock process wipes the device completely, which is worth knowing going in and is the reason backup comes first. PM Bootstrap is postmarketOS's installation tool, a Python-based command line program that walks through configuration, builds or downloads the appropriate system image, and manages the flashing process. Installing it with pip and running PM Bootstrap init launches an interactive setup wizard that covers the installation systematically. The wizard asks for the device vendor, presenting a list that includes Google, Samsung, OnePlus, Xiaomi, Nokia, Fairphone, and many others. Here's the first technical wrinkle that the installation process genuinely requires. postmarketOS doesn't use the commercial names of phones. It uses code names, the internal engineering identifiers manufacturers assigned during development. The OnePlus 6T is known in postmarketOS as OnePlus Fajita. A Samsung Galaxy S9 is Samsung Star LTE. These code names are not typically labeled on the device or in its retail documentation, and finding them requires a lookup against postmarketOS's device wiki or databases like PhoneDB. Net. Once you know the code name, you select it from the PM Bootstrap list, and the wizard continues. The next configuration choice is the interface. postmarketOS supports several graphical environments, each representing a different philosophy about what a Linux phone should feel like. Phosh is built on GNOME's libhandy library and presents the most conventional, smartphone-like interface, with a gesture-based navigation model, a clean home screen, and an app drawer. It's what most people who have seen Linux phone demonstrations have seen, and it's the recommended starting point. Plasma Mobile is the KDE project's mobile interface, more feature-rich and more desktop-like in its convergent story, better for users who want to connect the phone to a monitor and run a full desktop session. SXMO is the most minimal and the most keyboard-oriented, designed around hardware buttons and command line efficiency, and aimed at users who are comfortable with Linux tooling and want a phone that behaves more like a Unix system with a screen. For a first installation, Phosh gives the most immediately recognizable experience. After configuration, PM Bootstrap downloads the necessary packages and builds the installation image. This process can take 20 minutes to over an hour depending on internet speed and whether the host computer needs to compile packages. Once complete, the device is booted into fast boot mode again, and PM Bootstrap handles the flashing process automatically with the flasher commands, writing the root file system and kernel images to the device's internal storage partitions. The first boot after installation takes several minutes, and patience is required here because nothing obvious happens for longer than feels comfortable. Eventually, the Plymouth boot animation appears, a concrete visual sign that the installation is running, and then the Phosh lock screen arrives and the device is, technically speaking, running Linux. Here's where the honest account of the experience matters more than the installation walkthrough. postmarketOS, in its June 2026 release, is a genuinely capable system for specific uses, and a genuinely incomplete system for others. And the project's own documentation makes this clear rather than papering over it. The state page describes the software as intended for power users, not as an Android replacement for general consumers. Understanding where it works and where it doesn't is more useful than either uncritical enthusiasm or dismissal. In the working column, Wi-Fi connects correctly and reliably on the OnePlus 6T, which is on the community tier list for good reason. Basic Phosh navigation works intuitively. Swipe up to go home, swipe in from the top for notifications, swipe between the home screen and the app drawer. The terminal application opens a genuine bash shell, and from there, Alpine's APK package manager can install software from the Alpine Linux repositories. Geary, the email client, installs and connects to standard email accounts. The web browser delivers functional browsing. Signal has a native Linux application that runs on postmarketOS. The device makes and receives voice calls through the modem, which for a phone that Android has completely abandoned is the most practically important functional test and the one that postmarketOS's community support on this hardware makes possible. In the incomplete column, the camera situation is the most significant disappointment, and it's a structural problem rather than a configuration issue. Camera hardware on Android phones depends almost entirely on vendor-specific image, signal processor drivers written for downstream Android kernels. These drivers exist in binary blobs, proprietary code that Qualcomm and other chip manufacturers distribute for Android but not for mainline Linux. Without those drivers, postmarketOS either has no camera access at all or has severely degraded camera function through the libcamera framework, which attempts to work without the proprietary ISP pipeline. On the OnePlus 6T, the camera exists, but produces results that are far below what the hardware is physically capable of when running Android. For a device you're using to replace Android entirely, this is a genuine loss. For a device you're repurposing for communication, browsing, and development tasks rather than photography, it's a different kind of trade-off. GPS is similarly limited. The modem-integrated GPS hardware on most Android phones uses a firmware layer that wasn't designed with Linux in mind, and getting reliable location fixes requires either specific community-developed modem management tooling or accepting that GPS functions at reduced accuracy and slower fix times than the same hardware achieves on Android. Battery life is competitive with what the device was delivering on its last supported Android version, which is a meaningful accomplishment given that Linux phone software historically struggled with power management on mobile hardware. Bluetooth works for basic audio and device pairing. Mobile data works on the OnePlus 6T's postmarketOS port, which is a meaningful practical point because voice calls and data access over cellular are the two functions that distinguish a phone from a small tablet. The app ecosystem requires the most significant adjustment in expectations, because the Android applications that most people use daily do not exist for Linux. There's no Instagram client, no Uber, no mobile banking app that passes device attestation checks. Waydroid, an Android compatibility layer that runs a lightweight Android container inside the Linux environment, can run many Android applications and is installable on postmarketOS builds that use the appropriate kernel configuration. But Waydroid on the OnePlus 6T's community postmarketOS build operates with variable success depending on the specific application, and banking apps that rely on Google's Play Integrity certification to confirm device authenticity typically fail the check even through Waydroid with microG installed. This is the application compatibility gap that makes postmarketOS currently unsuitable as a complete replacement for most people's Android phone. But for tasks that work within what the native Linux ecosystem provides, communication through Signal, email through Geary, browsing through Firefox, development through the terminal, the experience is genuinely functional. Here's what this experiment ultimately reveals about where postmarketOS sits in 2026, and the two separate conversations it belongs to simultaneously. The first conversation is about e-waste and planned obsolescence. The OnePlus 6T is a device with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor, 8 GB of RAM, and a 3700 mAh battery hardware that would be entirely competitive with mid-range devices shipping in 2026 if the software running on it were maintained. Instead, it stopped receiving Android security patches years ago and is sitting in drawers or in landfills across the world in quantities that represent a genuine environmental cost. postmarketOS gives that hardware a software environment that will be actively maintained for years beyond what its manufacturer ever planned to support, running an operating system with a genuine long-term support commitment rather than a business-driven end-of-life schedule. That's a meaningful thing, and the e-waste argument for this project is stronger in 2026 than it's ever been, as right-to-repair legislation in Europe and growing sustainability awareness from consumers are making the question of how long a device remains usable a subject of actual regulatory and commercial interest. The second conversation is about Linux on mobile as a genuine daily driver, which is where postmarketOS's own honest self-assessment matters. The project in 2026 is not ready for the category of user who wants to hand a phone to their parent and have them use it without incident. It requires comfort with the command line for setup and troubleshooting. It requires acceptance of camera limitations that would be deal breakers for anyone for whom mobile photography is a significant part of daily life. It requires a rebuilt workflow around Linux native applications rather than the Android apps most people have spent years organizing their digital life around. But for the user who is already comfortable with Linux on the desktop, who primarily needs communication and browsing rather than a full Android app ecosystem, and who has a drawer full of abandoned hardware that still works physically, postmarketOS 26. So 6 offers something that no Android custom ROM can: a complete departure from Android's architecture, its dependencies on Google's infrastructure, and the update cadence that any Android-based system inherits from the ecosystem it's built on. The June 2026 release made the most tangible progress on visual polish the project has delivered in years. Plymouth replacing the custom boot splash, GNOME 50 on mobile, Modem Manager with emergency broadcast support. These aren't features that change what the system can do for power users. They're features that change what the system looks like to someone encountering it fresh. And they represent a project that is increasingly interested in lowering the threshold for who can engage with its output. The project has also been working on expanding the pre-built image availability, making it possible to install postmarketOS without running PM Bootstrap at all by flashing a downloaded image through a more standard fast boot process, which removes the most significant technical barrier for users who aren't comfortable building from configuration. What postmarketOS represents in the broader mobile landscape is the serious, sustained, community-driven answer to a question that manufacturers have decided to leave unanswered. What happens to a phone after the company that made it stops caring about it? The answer the manufacturers have built into the system is that the phone becomes useless and eventually trash. The answer, a group of developers working on a project based on Alpine Linux, shipping releases with names like Alpenavocado, is that the phone becomes a Linux computer, maintained by people who believe that hardware should outlive the business decisions of the company that manufactured it. That answer isn't complete yet, and the project's own state page is honest about that. But it's more complete in June 2026 than it's ever been before, and that trajectory matters more than the current gaps in camera support or app compatibility. The OnePlus 6T in the drawer, the one that Google and its manufacturer jointly abandoned, is running Linux, receiving security patches, and making phone calls. For a device that was supposed to be done, that's not nothing.